Hey, what is going on, everybody? Desir here with our Cosmic Crucible Season 7 defense video. This is a pretty important video for everybody because it's going to kind of set the tone of how your Cosmic Crucible week is going to start off. Do you want to go more turtle heavy and risk not full clearing your opponent? Or do you want to go a little bit more offense heavy to where you make sure you do get the full clear? Now in this video, I'm going to have 4 team options per stage. I try to go through each stage and look at the rules and look at what options players are going to have for that, so it should kind of give you a nice variety of options of how you want to tackle each stage. To start though, let's talk about the global rules. The season's going to be called the Cabal. The Cabal characters with vulnerable on a successful hit will apply vulnerable up to a max of 5. When they get below 25% health, they're going to gain 200% damage, kind of like how that Gambit was in the last season. When he dropped low on health, his damage just skyrocketed. He was like a ticking time bomb. And it's going to lower the enemy armor by 50%. So it's really going to play into, if your Cabal characters do drop low, they're just going to destroy the other team. However, I don't really see that being a factor in here because the Cabal team is so good. I don't know when they're going to drop below that 25% health, but we'll see if it does come into play. I don't think it will. Also, villain characters on turn, if there is a Cabal ally, they will gain a barrier of 10% max health. So it really goes into the whole, you want to use villain characters with your Cabal team. So what are some good options to add with the Cabal? So below I do have a couple duos that I think could work really well with them. The first one is the obvious choice, which is King and Titania. I actually really don't prefer to use this one. I'd rather have 2 strong Cosmic Crucible teams, one being Masters of Evil, one being the Cabal. So breaking up that really strong team to add into the Cabal, I feel is kind of a waste. The only reason I would ever do that is if there is a very strong defense and I can still get the full clear without actually using my Masters of Evil team, then I may do that. I did that last season on the 3rd tournament, I believe it was, the 3rd round, and I didn't really want to do it, but it was something that had to be done, so that's the only reason I would do that. The next option, I think doing like a Doom Black Cat could be a really interesting option. I don't know if I want to actually take the Secret Defenders off the defense yet, especially because of that stage 6. However, I could see that happening in the future where you can take Black Cat off, use Robbie with another team to kind of work on that bleed option, and maybe add Dr. Doom in there to kind of get a push and get a Black Cat push on there, or one of the Cabal members. That could be a kind of an interesting one. The third option I have is Morgan with Agatha. I think that would be a really cool option to use, especially if there's going to be a lot of Mystic characters on the other side of the field. Just the assist mechanic that Agatha would give to Morgan. Morgan being able to do that ult turn 1 based on how many Mystics are on the other side. That could be a really cool option. Hopefully I can use that this season. Another option is the obvious one where it's Omega Red and Emma Frost. We don't really use them too much. They're really good plug and play characters, but being able to take useless characters that you don't really use often, add them into the Cabal team to really give them extra life, I really love that about the Cabal. The last option on here, I believe Dorky Dad uses this, or he will be using this, is using Archangel for that turn rewind every time you get a kill. Vulture being able to do that ult turn 1, especially if there's a lot of heroes on the other side of the field. I actually like this option as well because we don't really use Death Seed. Vulture, he may not be able to be required on that Superior 6 team, so being able to, again, use useless characters that's just going to sit there and give them the extra life and actually make them very useful, I really like that idea, so I may use that option as well this season. Stage 1 is called Full House. This is a very interesting room, and this is going to be basically your Cosmic Crucible tax, is how a lot of people is calling it. which I definitely agree with it, because you're going to be changing your ISO classes on your offense and defense, and that's just going to drain your resources. They do this every season, so I'm not surprised by this stage one bit. So what does this stage do? Striker characters, if they have ability block, they're going to gain 50% damage. Raider characters, on turn, if they have ability block, it's going to clear that ability block and heal them for 10% of their max health. Skirmisher characters, on a successful attack, will apply ability block. Now the interesting thing about the way the skirmisher one works is if you have an hit, like an AoE hit, that hits the entire team, or say 3 characters, all of those characters will begin that ability block, but that's still going to be based on focus resistance checks, obviously. So what teams do I think will work in here? So there's going to be the Unlimited X-Men team. Take out Sunfire, add Phoenix in. That's a very strong team for this room. Gambit doing the pings. He has his special where if he's charged, it's going to hit 3 characters. So instead of just the main target getting an ability block, it's going to be all 3 targets. Gambit's ult, how that hits everybody. His basic, how it hits 2 targets. He's a very interesting option if you do want to go skirmisher on him to really play into the ability block portion of the stage. Dazzler being able to do the cleanse, and she's a great raider anyways. Phantom X, he can hit pretty hard if he wants to, that we've noticed, and he's going to have that taunt and evade mechanic. That's going to be pretty strong for that team. Phoenix, you can actually put a skirmisher on her. That way, if she does end up surviving to where she can pull all the debuffs in, it's going to hit a character and actually put the ability block on the character that it's going to target. So that's going to be a great option. Rogue, she's a great raider as well. I was using her raider last season in that stage 1. Being able to do that ult and just a nice big damage on the other side of the field. Her special is going to be able to have a chance to crit and actually get the ability block on it. So I think that's going to be one of the better teams that you're going to find in this stage. Another team is going to be the Extreme X-Men with Rogue. That could be a very interesting mechanic as well. You can put a striker on Cyclops. That way, if he does get the ability block, he's going to do a lot more damage with those pings. Nightcrawler, I would use him as a skirmisher. He's going to have that speed up, so that way, right off the bat, he's going to ability block 3 people. Forge, you're going to want him as a raider, so you definitely want to swap some ISOs around that you normally don't have on that Extreme X-Men team. Infinity Watch, I feel, is going to be a really good option in here. The striker skirmisher combos that they have, and that turn 1, they're going to have the immunity, so you don't have to worry about them getting ability blocked on turn 1. Phyla-Vell, she's also a very good option as a raider, so you don't have to swap too many ISOs around on this team, and they're still going to have a lot of value for you. The last option I have on here is going to be more towards the mid-game player. You're going to be building up your Gamma squad anyways. I think Gamma could be an interesting one that you're going to put in here. A lot of them work really well as a raider. She-Hulk is a really good skirmisher already, so Hulk, him being able to clear a lot of those debuffs when he drops low, Brown being able to cleanse it. I think Gamma could be a good sleeper pick in here if you're a mid-game player. That way you can kind of stretch out your defense options for you. Stage 2 is called Raid Crucible. Basically, the room is a raid room, so you're definitely going to want to use your raid characters in here to try to make it easier from the previous season where there was the raid room. They are making it to where it's going to lower the resistance and the healing by 50%. So that's a little something to where the Bifrost isn't going to be overpowered crazy. However, Bifrost is probably still going to be one of the better options in here. Another great option for this room is going to be the Pegasus team. We know how they do in raids, how they have very fast turns. They spawn with a lot of buffs and turn meter. They have ability blocks, stuns, turn rewinds. So Pegasus is going to be very dangerous in here as well. So it's going to be a tie, I think, between Pegasus and the Bifrost for who's going to be in this room. However, another dangerous option that I think you can put in here is going to be Bifrost with Super Scroll. By removing Teen Loki, you're going to have the 2 villains and 2 heroes, so that way Super Skrull's going to have his full benefit in here. Loki you kind of want to keep though, because he is going to be able to do that stealth to really protect your teammates on here, and he's going to have that mind control. So I think dropping Teen Loki is going to be the better play. If you do want to drop Loki and keep Teen Loki, I can see that as an option as well, because the healing and the regens that Teen Loki brings out, and when there is the regens on your team, they're going to have that counterattack. So I think you can go either one, but I think Teen Loki's a better one to drop if you want to do that. The 4th team that I have in here is going to be Spider Society. They're not out yet, but I just wanted to put that on people's radar that when we had that last Cosmic Crucible season where there was the raid room, the Pegasus was kind of the best option to put in there. As soon as Bifrost came out, they were the meta team that you wanted to put in there. I feel it's going to be that same way, so that way they can really sell that Spider Society and get that last minute push to the season of the stage 2. So I think Spider Society is going to be the one you're going to put in here in the future. So just a heads up about that. Stage 3 is called Aggroed. All characters on turn, if they have taunt, they're going to gain offense up. Also, they're going to apply assist now to all allies with offense up. So this room is going to be very dangerous depending on what you put in here. Realistically, the Masters of Evil or Cabal is going to be used in this room, so you don't want to over invest in here, but you still want something in here dangerous enough to where it's going to pull one of those 2 big teams. So what teams do I feel are going to work best in here? So the obvious choice is going to be the Extreme X-Men with Jubilee. So if you were to do the Unlimited X-Men with Phoenix in stage 1, you can use your Extreme X-Men with Jubilee in this stage, and that's going to give you 2 strong defenses for 2 different rooms. So that's definitely a very good option for you. Jubilee already gives the assist now, but Sunspot's able to give offense up to the entire team. So having an assist on every turn with Nightcrawler, who has offense up, or Cyclops with his high damage, it could be very nasty with the Extreme X-Men in this stage. Now, when I was going through the teams, another team that really caught my eye is the New Avengers with Nick Fury. So 2 seasons ago, we had that stage 1 to where if you had a striker on you, then everybody that had a striker would get the assist now. So that's essentially what's going to happen in this stage. Fury's going to make it to where Coulson's going to go first. Coulson will use his ultimate, and that's going to get offense up to everybody. And we know the punishment that the New Avengers can dish out when they start kind of going on that turn 1. So now imagine that with all of the assists coming in with the strikers, and everybody's going to have higher stars on the New Avengers now, especially if you did build them up for the Nova trial. So that's something to kind of keep in mind if you do want to go that route. Another team that you can put in here is going to be the Infinity Watch. Phyla-Vell gives the offense up to your allies, and when they start dropping low, a taunt does get applied to them as well. So that's something to keep in mind, to where you can have an assist from Nebula and another character, because they will have the offense up with the safeguard. They're able to take a lot more punishment as well if you want to put them in here to really drain the efficiency out of your opponent and really make it to where they need to use that Masters of Evil or Cabal team in here. So I think having the Infinity Watch is a really good bait move to say, hey, use these teams here for you. The 4th team I have in here is going to be Gamma. Again, if you are kind of a mid-game player and you did build up your Gamma because you're going for that Apocalypse, I think that the Gamma could work in here. It's still probably going to pull like a New Warriors though, but that means you can't use New Warriors elsewhere, so it's kind of a win. But what would happen with the Gamma is Brown makes it to where if they drop under 50% health, they will get that offense up, which means they will be getting the assist now. She-Hulk and Hulk both get the taunts on them pretty often, so they're automatically going to have the offense up, and they'll be assisting on every hit. having the healers on them here as well, because if you go the healer heavy route for your Gamma team, they're really going to be bouncing over and under that 50% line to where Brown's going to keep giving them offense up. Stage 4, Unstable Energy. So this one I found very interesting, and I kind of like it. So villain characters, their ultimate abilities are going to cost 2 less ability energy. However, they're going to take a punishment of lowering their max health by 25%. For the first team, it's going to be Out of Time with Dorm. The reason I have this team here is to really bait the opponent into trying to use the villains here to take advantage of that 2 less ability energy, but they're going to have 25% less health. So when the Black Knight does the retaliates on those villains, it's going to be a lot easier to kill them off. And if they try to sack the team and put the exhaust mechanic on Black Knight, Dorm I have actually as a fortifier in here. That way they actually need to try to do damage to Dorm as well. Otherwise, they're all going to come back with the revive once mechanic. Another kicker is going to be Cosmic Ghost Rider. Anytime the opponent uses an ultimate ability, there's going to be barrier added onto the Out of Time team, so that way it's going to be even harder to take them out. So I think that's going to be a really nice trick that you can try to play on your opponent by using Out of Time with Dorm. Another option is going to be the 3-piece Out of Time, where it's Peggy Carter, Captain America, Black Knight, and you can add in Red Hulk and the Hulk as well. They worked really well last season in the Stage 4, and I think they can still work pretty well in here because Hulk has a really good synergy with Captain America, and Hulk also gives that immunity onto the Red Hulk. And Red Hulk, he's not going to have that punishment to where the ultimate's going to cost 2 more, so it's still going to be a lot easier for him to get to that ultimate to put the battlefield effect on the other side. This one here is going to be more difficult to take out after the sack of Black Knight because you're going to want to pull some of those abilities. For the next 2 teams, they're more Black Order related. So you can go with the full Black Order or drop Corvus and add another piece in. And I think Black Order can really take advantage of this because of the turn rewinds from Proxima with the stun. The Thanos, he's going to be doing that ultimate on turn 1 as well. And there was a season, I believe 2 seasons ago, where Black Order was really able to take advantage of that 2 less ability energy and really punish the opponent on the other side of the field. And this one here is going to make it to where only the villains have 2 less ability energy, not the heroes. The last team I have on here is going to be the 3-piece Black Order, where it's Ebony Maw, Thanos, Proxima, Midnight, and then you can add in Vulture and Omega Red. What this will do for you is Omega Red's going to be able to ult on turn 1, so he'll get a nice ability block on somebody and rewind the entire team. And for Vulture, if they try to come in with any heroes, Vulture's going to have extra turn meter on spawn, and that's going to make it to where he's going to ult turn 1 as well, and that's going to get another turn meter rewind. So you're really going to be pushing back the opponent as far as how fast they're going to try to take you out. Instead, they're going to be playing behind the 8 ball. Stage 5 is called Flashbang. All characters with blind lower that character's speed by 5%, and the armor gets reduced by 25%. Now, how you're going to get the blinds on the other team is through the other portion of the stage rules. Ultimate abilities apply blind to the primary target, so you do need to keep that in mind. In stage 1, it was if you hit the full team gets ability block. This one here, if you hit the full team, only the primary target is going to be getting that blind. So you'll want to keep that in mind as you design your room on how this will be playing out. Infinity Watch, I feel, is a very interesting choice for this room because they spawn with Safeguard and Immunity. So that way it's going to be harder to actually put the blinds on them. As far as their turn orders go, they really stagger out when they use their ultimate abilities. So they're going to be constantly putting blinds out there, and because the blinds are coming kind of staggered out like that, it's going to be harder to remove them with somebody like Emma Frost, for instance. Now, as far as turns, Nebula will be using her ultimate on turn 1 and turn 3. Adam Warlock, Gomorrah, Phyla-Vell all use their ultimates on turn 2, and Moondragon also use that on a turn 3. So that's what I mean by their ultimates kind of get staggered out. So as the rounds go on, the opponent has to keep worrying about when the blinds are going to be coming at them. As far as Darkhold goes, I don't really see them having a really good place on defense this season. If you did want to put them somewhere, Stage 5 is probably going to be the best bet, but they're such an easy team to counter now because of the Pegasus with Tangled Web that we've been using for the past few seasons. That's also going to work here as well. Spider Weaver is going to have those charges on, which means the opponent won't be able to hit them, which means they don't have to worry about the blind. The only catch on this is if you have Pegasus on defense, you're not going to be able to use Kestrel and Iron Man Infinity War, so you're going to need to find new pieces to go with your Tangled Web on how you're going to be beating Darkhold this season. So that's the only benefit that you're going to have by Darkhold on defense this season. For this third team, I want to give credit where credit is due. This actually came from Dorky Dad and Juicy last week during Dorky Dad's stream. They were trying to decide what teams would be best for each stage, and they really wanted to play into the using the ultimates for blind and also for what might be able to interrupt the other team to where they would have a hard time clearing it. The way this would work is you have your 2 Tangled Web members. 2099 would go first and use that ultimate. That's going to flip some of the positive effects on the other side of the field. That's going to get blind on one character. Big Time would go. That's going to flip as well. And that's going to be another blind. When Spider Weaver goes, that's going to do the trauma stun. And that's also going to put the charges up and another blind. Photon's passive makes it to where anybody with blind has negative 100% accuracy. So anybody with blind is negative 200% accuracy, and with the charges that are on them, that's another negative 100% accuracy. So it's really going to pile on the negative accuracy for the opponent. So even if they try to come in with new warriors, they can't overcome that deficit of the blinds and the charges. Even with just the blinds, Photon kind of shuts that down. Now Photon, her special is going to be doing the blind, and on turn 2 when she does the ultimate, that's going to be another blind on there. Any blinds that go onto this team as well, Emma Frost can clear that off on turn 1 with the special, and her ultimate does blind anyway. So it's a pretty interesting mix on here. The Emma Frost I feel would help out any type of mirror match. So if you try to sub anybody out and say you take Emma Frost out for say a Spider Woman or another infestation member like say Black Widow, that's going to open it up more for a mirror match on how you can get beat by that. So that's why I put a Emma Frost in there as the 5th member. For the 4th team that I have in here, it's going to be that Secret Defenders with Spider-Man Noir. The reason I feel that this would work in here is because New Warriors already struggle against this to where there's that RNG factor where if Spider-Man Noir hits the Gwen pool and then Ms. Marvel Harlight rewinds that same Gwen pool, it really causes an issue where the team can't really overcome the deficit of that. What this will do is it's also now going to factor in the blinds on the other team, where if you get the blind on them and then Photon has that negative 100% accuracy, it's really going to hamper that New Warriors team. So it's going to be more of an uphill battle for the opponent. So that's why I have that as a good option here in Stage 5. Stage 6 is called Crossroads. So this is kind of a weird room as far as how the rules are on here. It was definitely made for like a Mephisto being added to here because he gets a lot of benefits for Ghost Rider. But as far as the rules go, on crit, you're going to apply bleed to the primary target. If there's any Ghost Rider that is an ally, and if the character has bleed, they're going to gain 20% armor. Also, Ghost Rider, if he's on this team, is going to give a 20% crit chance to your allies. The first team I have is going to be that Secret Defenders with Spider-Man Noir. We know how much bleeds this team already pumps out and how Robbie can kind of keep going. Well, now they're going to have that additional crit chance. to where Robbie's going to be able to go even more because it's going to be an additional bleed being applied to the enemy. For that second team, I'm going to have Out of Time with Dorman here. So there's still going to be a Ghost Rider on this team. Dorman is going to be able to give that revive once, and he's going to be able to flip a lot of those positive effects into negative effects for more bleeds. And then there's the Black Knight threat on here. Again, I would probably use Dorm as a fortifier with this team. That way it's going to be a harder chance to sack it. Now for this third team, it was something I was kind of toying around with. So you'd use the 3-piece of the Secret Defenders, so Robbie, Black Cat, Ms. Marvel, Hardlight. We're going to add in Dorm again, and you can make him any type of ISO. You don't really need to go for the fortifier like we did with the Out of Time. And then as the 5th, I would use Tigra because she's going to special on turn 1, and that's going to rebound chain and do a lot of bleeds. She's also going to have an ult on turn 2 that's still going to hit the entire team, and that's going to have a lot of bleeds. So she's really going to be able to play into the Robbie bleed mechanic, and with the additional crit chance, that's going to be more bleeds on that primary target. Her basic also does bleeds, so every move that she does is going to have that bleed on there. She's also going to have a taunt mechanic with evades on her, so I think she could be a really good fit for this team, and I think it's going to catch a lot of people off guard because they're going to be used to that Noir as the 5th on this team anyways. For the 4th team that we have in here, it's going to be the Out of Time with Gamma mix. So it's going to be the Red Hulk and Hulk mixed with the Peggy, Cap, and Black Knight. We had this team in stage 4. It's a really good team, and I could see it working in stage 6. Red Hulk being a raider, and then there's going to be the trauma with the heal block and bleeds from the Black Knight anyways. So you're just going to really play into what this team can do as a whole. If Red Hulk is able to make it to its ultimate and put a battlefield effect out there, it's going to hurt even more. Something that you might be able to do as well is maybe take out the Hulk and put in Cosmic Ghost Rider. That could be a pretty interesting mix. So that way you do have a Ghost Rider mix in there to where you can get the crits as well. So that's something kind of toy around with if you want to do that. And that is all the defenses I have for you guys today. I try to cater more towards mid-game and end-game by adding in the Gamma teams on here. You're going to need them for unlocking Apocalypse anyways, so you're going to be building them up. Red Hulk's a great character, so I made sure to put him in. The new Avengers, you need them for the Green Goblin Classic trial, and Out of Time is also going to be required for this upcoming Legendary. So make sure to build those teams up. Also, make sure to put in the comments below, what teams are you planning on using this season? And I really hope I was able to help you guys out and kind of guide you down a nice path of starting Season 7. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You all have a wonderful rest of the day.